back. If you're back, or your first time here. Anyway, so if you do watch my videos, you'll know that I changed my calipers. I had to take my mountune 6-pot calipers off because I was having issues, and so I put the Puma Speed calipers on, which are a great set of calipers. Well, carriers, it's a great upgrade, utilising the OEM caliper. Anyway, I had to do that because at the time I was moving house and I needed to get the car down to the new house, and I had a leaking seal on the caliper on the mountune. So obviously, you know, being safe and all that, I could have drove it, but I didn't want brake fluid all over my bloody wheels and stuff like that. But so to bring you up to speed, old calipers, the old 6-pots came off the car. Now, I didn't really want to take them off. I actually bought those calipers in 2019, so like nearly 7 years ago. And I love those calipers. They were great. They looked great. They functioned great. The aesthetics looked great. So yeah, I was a bit gutted to actually have to take them off. A couple of reasons really why I decided to remove them completely was, first of all, I couldn't source any parts for the caliper. I was really struggling to find you know, any kind of replacement parts. These are not just like off-the-shelf calipers, or you know, they were literally made as a bespoke caliper for the ST, to utilise the OEM wheels. So that was one of the main benefits of the actual caliper for me, was they fit behind the standard wheels. You don't have to use spacers. You know, so you're getting the stopping power of a 6-pot, bigger disc, which is a 2-piece disc. Yeah, and you're not having to muck about putting aftermarket wheels on. So there was a lot of positives for me. So, you know, first of all, I'd put more power. I'd put more power into the car. So I was looking for bigger brakes anyway. And I've always wanted a set of big brakes that are, well, they fit behind the standard wheels. I've never been a big fan of having to use spacers, even though I have put 10mm spacers on now. But I certainly wasn't wanting to go into the sort of 20mm, 25mm range, which is usually what you have to go for with the standard wheels if you're wanting big brakes. And for me, that's just too much. I just don't think it looks right, personally. It's just personal preference. Each their own, but yeah, 25mm was just overkill. So yeah, so anyway, Mountune came out with these calipers, these 6-pots. So yeah, pre-ordered them. And now, like I said in my other video, I've literally, these calipers from the get-go have been quite a pain, to be honest. The first problem I had was the first batch they sent out, they'd not been machined properly. So where the caliper connects to the car, on the hub where the bolts go, the caliper wasn't running true with the disc. So the disc was actually wasn't central to the caliper. So if you look on a caliper, you've got an observation hole at the top, which basically shows you the alignment of the disc with the pads. And on the first batch I got, the caliper was sitting more towards the inboard of the brake disc. So what was happening, after I'd installed the caliper and the disc and, you know, set it all up, bled it, everything, when I went to drive it, the inboard pad was just binding. It was like undrivable. So obviously took the calipers off, contacted Mountune. Fred was working there at the time, and Fred was great. He's like, yeah, sent them back. Fred set them up on a hub that they have at Mountune, and he said, he goes, they're not right, these. So a couple of weeks later, a new batch gets sent out. Now, looking back, really, I should have. It's the old hindsight, isn't it, really? But so these new calipers that I got, they were better, but they still wasn't perfect. So what I ended up doing is, I discovered that if you get the pad, so this is the pad for the 6 parts. Now these pads have a shim on them. A lot of modern pads have these now. So you got your pad and then you got your shim. This shim's like about 1 mil thick. That's literally the difference it took. So I ended up taking the shim off. So in order to make the pad fit, more comfortable and work properly, just by removing the shim, it actually solved the problem. But the sort of as a consequence, the long-term effect was it ended up damaging the slide pins. So you get 2 pins that go through here, these holes where the caliper sits, which obviously guides the caliper backwards and forwards. There's a little bit of movement left and right. So long-term, that caused the pins to bend. Because what had happened is, because I'd taken the shim off, this guard on the end was no longer like stopping the pad inside the caliper. So it was sort of doing this, and when you reversed and braked, you could hear it's like. So it was the pad hitting the back of the chamber in the caliper. Anyway, cut to many years later, because I didn't really notice this at first. So I'm servicing the brakes. I just like to, every now and then, I like to take things off the car and clean them. So I'm servicing the calipers, take them off, to give them a good clean, and take the sliders out, and I laid the sliders on the table. Now, as I rolled them, one of the sliders was, wasn't true. So I was like, that's bent. Now I could have just bent it back, really, but I just thought, no, I'll source a new set. So I contacted Mountune, and I was asking about basically obtaining spares for these calipers, and they were kind of like, we don't sell them anymore. It's been discontinued for a long time. And it's very difficult to get parts. Now, they did manage to source me a set of slide pins. At the same time, I was also talking to another chap it's Aros Group. I think that's how you say it. Lewis, if you're watching, Lewis. Tar, mate, you've been a legend. Absolute great. Sourcing me these bits for these calipers. Yeah, so I was talking with Lewis, and Lewis had also sourced me some sliders. So I ended up getting 2 sets of sliders. I did pay a lot more through Mountune, interestingly. I think I paid about 80 quid for 2 sets of sliders. It cost me like about 80 quid. So bloody hell, this is expensive. And then but one of the other reasons as well is when I serviced the pad, the caliper, when I took the pads out, on the driver's side, the pads had started to rust jack, and it had actually separated, the pad material had separated from the backing plate, so it just came off. It's quite a common thing. They call it rust jacking. It's just where the rust gets behind here and pushes the pad out. I think a cure for these will be, see here, this is where the rust will start in here, and then it gradually works its way up and pushes. I think you get a bit of copper grease and just lather it. Might help. Anyway, so I did have another set of pads, but that was my last set. So again, ring Mountune, I need pads now. Can I get some new pads? Because they've actually stopped selling the pads quite a long time ago. You can still buy the discs, but you can't get the pads. So Mountune is sort of like, yeah, we can't get you the pads, we can't source the pads for you, it's all discontinued. So I'm thinking, I've got like a £2,000 set of calipers, I bought an extra set of pads, I bought an extra set of discs as well, and the discs are 2-piece discs and they're not cheap. And yeah, I was a bit like, right, okay, so now I've got to sort of just either put my original calipers back on, which I'm glad I didn't sell, and basically, yeah, what do I do with these calipers? Yeah, I was a little bit disheartened, let's just say. So, like I say, because I was talking to Lewis as well at the Aras group, I said to Lewis, I goes, look, I need brake pads. He goes, can you source brake pads? So Lewis looked into it, and as well as looking for brake pads, I asked him to look for a rebuild kit for the seals, because I had a seal leaking as well. And Lewis came through, amazing, yeah, absolutely chuffed. Because the company that make these calipers, see, Mountune don't make the calipers. When you buy stuff from Mountune, they don't make these in house, or they basically just get like a third party, let's say, company like Miltech, for example, for the exhaust, Brembo for the calipers. In this case, for these calipers, they teamed up with a company called Nashim. I'd never heard of him actually before this. And then, so I think this is the 3rd or 4th iteration of brake calipers for the Mark 7 ST that Mountune have done. So this time round they've gone with Nashim. So thankfully Lewis was able to speak to the suppliers and still source parts. Now a lot of this stuff is kind of getting discontinued now. And the calipers themselves have been discontinued for quite a few many years. So obviously I was like, right, seals, get me 3 sets. If I need, if I ever need them in the future, I've got 2 additional sets spare. Brake pads, get me 3, a pack of 3. I was going to go for 5, but flipping hell, this started adding up. So amazing. Ooh, a postal man came the other day and he dropped me off a parcel, and inside I have seals. I have the piston seals. See, I do this a lot with stuff. If I buy something, I'll buy multiples of them as like keepsakes, as like backups. So I've got 3 sets of seals, and that's for both calipers. So you've got both sides, so I've got 3 sets, right? So now I can change the seals, which is great. And I've got 3 sets of pads. Yes, yeah, 3 sets of pads. Right, you can't get these anymore, by the way. One of the other problems I had with the Mountune pads as well is, because I was having this problem with the shim causing a problem. Now I had to go back to using a shim, because otherwise I'd be damaging the sliders again. So I had to Mountune kindly, and I don't want to be sounding like anything's bad towards Mountune, because it's not. I've always had great service with Mountune, but Mountune kindly said they will lanish the pad. So basically what they did is, I sent a set of pads that I had spare, my last set, and what they've done is they've slightly taken a bit of material off one side, so basically it will allow the pad to fit in better. Now I don't know what the situation is going to be with these pads, but if I've got the option to at least get them lanished somewhere, then that's not too bad. But I'm just so glad I can get them back on the car at some point and get, utilise them again and return it to how I had it. Not to say that these Puma Speed, the Puma Speed ones I've got on at the minute, the modified carrier with the 302 disc, chuffed to bits with that. I think it's great. I always say the ST should have come with at least 300mm discs from factory. I don't know why Ford put those 280s on it. I don't know. They're just yeah, and they never Ford never offer brake upgrades, do they? Like at least with the Corsa, VXR, and stuff like that. At least you could get it with single pots or 4-pot Brembos. You know what I mean? Ford never seemed to do that, and I think they did something with the latest Focus ST, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, let's get refurbing the 6-pots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally take the 6-pots back to bare metal. They're looking a bit, you know, a bit past it personally. One problem I had with these calipers was they seem to chip really easy. And also they have the mountune. I think it's debossed. I know you got embossed where the letter is, you know, it's above, like stamped above it. But yeah, so debossed. I don't know if that's even a word. So it's engraved into the actual side of the caliper. Now the original, when I bought these, it had white lettering saying mountune. But what I found is, if you get too close with the power washer, it takes the bloody paint off it. It just strips the white paint off. So what they've done is, I think because it's quite difficult actually to do that, to paint, you know, unless you've got some kind of templates in place. So I think what they do is they get the caliper, they lay it flat, and then when it's finished and painted, they'll get the white paint and they'll literally like blot it in to the letters, and then the gravity will, you know, let it flow. But as a consequence, it doesn't last. It doesn't adhere to the surface like it does when you're spraying it. So I'm umming and ahhing what to do about that. I don't know whether just sod it, just leave it. You can still see, you know, it says mountune, but obviously it's not going to be highlighted. And I was umming and ahhing about the colour as well. I was thinking I like the nitrous blue, Focus RS blue Mark III. Because the calipers on them are like it's like a baby blue colour. I don't know. But then I'd have to redo the rears in the same colour. I'm still in two minds whether to put the ST170s on. I've actually only just refurbed the rear calipers on mine. And I did 2 sets. I actually did 2 sets at once. I did one for the car. And like again with me, I did a spare set for spares, but this time I actually got a carrier. I got the carriers from the Focus Mark 1 ST170, because anybody who knows these cars, you can same with the 150, the ST150. You can put the bigger discs on the back if you put the extended carrier on. Annoyingly, with the Mark 7 though, you can't put the discs on from the Focus, whereas you can with the 150 because it's the same hub. The hub on the Mark 7 is different. Even though Google states that you can use the splash shield, basically is what I'm saying. Yes. So anyway, I'll come to that. So yeah, let's get on with it because this has been way too long. 20 minutes intro. Bloody hell. Okay, now right. I'll be cutting into me prepping the calipers. Right, inboard, yeah, there's a bit less meat on there, isn't there? Jesus. But now I'll just quickly show you where I am with these. So I've just been using the wire wheel, obviously. The only thing I'm trying to avoid is because I'm using the wheel, I'm going to be creating soft edges now. I mean, there is no hard edges anyway on these, but
there was a bit of alley rot on these corners here, which has come out quite nicely. Same on here on the back, just there. If you look, you can just see where the alley rot started. I don't know what the grade. I don't know what. Kind of looking at it, I know they're painted so it hides a lot of these imperfections, but and obviously I've been wire wheeling it, but like I don't know if they seem like a great. They don't seem like a good grade of aluminium personally. Because the always thing, the thing what baffled me was they started. I noticed alley rot on the bottom, but there wasn't no paint chip. There was no like chip in the paint to start the rot, because that's usually how it works. So this has actually started while it's been painted over. You know that. Anyway, updates. Don't seem to be doing much, if I'm honest. Oh, it is coming off a bit, actually. Yes. Will help with the sandblasting. We're getting there. Most of it paint's off now. Just putting a bit of paint remover off just to break that last bit down, make it a bit easier to take off. Just a lot of very ornate, well, not ornate, but you know, a lot of intricate, fucking hell, a lot of fine areas. You know, where the paint's getting in. I'm gonna have to get something fine in there. And the bolts, I've noticed as well, the bolts that hold the calipers together, they're not, I don't know what kind of metal they are, but because they're back to bare metal now, they're actually reacting, as in the flash rusting, should I say. So that's going to be interesting. Right, I'll show you where I am. Right, so I've got most of the paint, well, pretty much all of it really. Just give you a quick look. These took forever to do. They're not perfect. There's, you know, you've got little bits in there. It's these bolts here, these clamping bolts. If you get right in the detail, you know, right in there. What I'm going to have to do is, I'm going to I think I might just get one more bag of sand and just blast those areas really thoroughly, just to get all the crap out. I've loosened the bleeders, all the bleeders come out nicely. Never had an issue with that anyway. I bleed my brakes quite often, so they get used. I think, yeah, now I've gone back to bare metal. There's sort of like, see where it's you know, it's a bit pitted there on the back. These areas, it's quite common on these kind of calipers, like in here. Not so bad on that one, I don't think. In fact, actually, yeah, you could just see bits of. Generally, they're all right. Yeah, a bit of alley rot started there. I don't know whether I'm just going to skim that. Also, I've just got the caliper bolts. I'm just going to get some built amber rust remover, some deoxy. I think in one of my videos I called it detox. Detoxy. So you just I usually put this in that. I think you might have seen it as well on another video. I have an auto clean bucket. If it's not being used for sand for the power washer, I dump all my you know, bits and bobs in to de-rust. So get some warm water. Yeah, so yeah, generally they're all right. I mean, they're only. I think they're 2019. I bought them. I looked actually on the date. Yeah, 2019. I got these. So they're like 7-year-old roughly, give or take. 1 second. There we go. Cross-contamination, you know, bloody built amber on your cereal by accident. Good stuff, built amber. Use all sorts of products from them. Yeah, really good stuff. In fact, that won't even change colour, to be honest. On them, I have wire wheeled them. It's just the threads, just making sure there's no hidden, you know, bits and bobs in them. But right, so you know, I was thinking earlier. I was thinking, you know, that Focus RS blue, you know, the calipers on the Focus RS. It's really, I love that baby blue colour. I've always been a bit of a sucker for that colour. I know Audi do the I think it's called Riviera blue, similar. I love that colour. It's really nice. So I was thinking maybe do them in that baby blue. I don't know. I always have this thing. If I start going away too much from the sort of the, you know, the OEM thing, I get a bit funny about it. But I mean, who's it going to work? You know what I mean? Need to chill out a bit. One thing I'm a bit dubious about, and I'm not sure what to do with it. It's the mountune writing. It's not embossed, because embossed is when it's raised. I don't know, debossed, is that a word? So the letters are like they're indentated, fuck you know, indentated, whatever. Bloody hell, Granville. Right, so I believe when they did these calipers in the factory, because the mountune writing on these, it was white, and what I found was, if you got too close with the power washer, it took it off. It actually took the writing off. Now that's a bit. I know really you shouldn't get too close with a power washer anyway, but yeah, that shouldn't be happening personally. I think the way they did it in the factory, they must have got the caliper must have been laid flat like this, and then they've either got like some kind of device where they like inject the paint into the lettering, and obviously gravity will level it out. But the problem with that is it's not like it keys properly, so that's why obviously the paint comes off very easily. The only way I think I could do it is maybe once the top coat's on, I could probably try the technique of maybe putting the paint in a syringe, injecting it into the letters, and then just getting like a fine sort of something to skim the top just to take the paint off so it doesn't obviously dry or get, I don't know. I actually can't find much information on it, actually, how to do it. I think it usually is a case of just dipping the paint in, but yeah, I don't want to go down the road again of having to like just be ultra careful with them when I'm cleaning the car, or they just start peeling off in time, because then I'll just end up taking them off again and redoing them, so I can't be bothered. I'll have to see. Yeah, there's some metals on the, there's some quality of metal that's a bit questionable on the. This down here, that wants to rust. It's obviously inside now, so it's not oxidizing. You know, it's not flash rusting. But when I was outside, I noticed these were rusting quite easily. Same with these bolts as well on the back. They're obviously a different material. They're not just obviously aluminium. They're just steel, I imagine. These want to rust, so these need to be treated before I paint them, making sure they don't rust. And then I've got to get the pistons out. Yeah, I've just got to get the pistons out after that. And obviously I've got a little air gun. I just did connect that to back at caliper where where the brake line goes, and then they'll just probably get some kind of block. Well, I use the caliper when you've got 4 pots or 6 pots or 8 pots, 10, 12, whatever. You have a special ratchet tool that expands like that, and so you can do all the pistons simultaneously. That can work as an actual, like a stop to stop the pistons coming out as well. So because obviously if I start putting air in the back to knock the pistons out, you'll probably find, which I did discover when I did the test on it last year. I say last year, actually it was this year. Some pistons come out, some pistons don't. So you get the old whack-a-mole thing going. Different pistons coming out at different times. So obviously if you trap the pistons so they can't come out all the way, but they're still under pressure, they will come out. But then you've got to tease them out. They're quite shallow pistons, these, because they're designed to, you can see the chamber's quite shallow. Because they're designed to go around the standard wheels, they're specially made for the ST application, obviously. So the pistons are very shallow. Right. Good morning. New day. It's a windy day today as well. Potentially got rain. We've had a belter of a heat wave as well over this last few weeks. Right. Yeah. No, so last night, just before I went to bed, one second. Right. Last night, just before I went to bed, I treated the bolts. Just got some cure rust. Great stuff. Goes a long way, that stuff. So I got them treated. And then I left the bottom sections of the actual calipers, where I was talking to you about the fact that this section here, it's a bit of a it's like it's some sort of inferior metal. I say inferior, but you know what I mean. It's just like some kind of steel. Obviously, it needs to be a bit more reinforced, I think, just where it attaches to the hub. But it rusts very easily. So I basically just dumped it in there just to let it get any bits out that I can't get to. And because I'm thinking later I'm just gonna give those little areas around the nuts on the clamp, you know, the bolts that clamp the calipers together. Because again, they're not, obviously they're not aluminium. They need to be some kind of steel, don't they, obviously, to give it the strength. But these are quite prone for rusting, especially once I start using water to power wash and clean the caliper. Once I've sandblasted it, these just start rusting straight away. But because you've got that fine, these little fine intricate gaps, and you got in here, I'm gonna have to get that with sandblaster. So I think one of the other things as well with the sandblaster is it will probably give it a little bit more of a uniform finish, because I've been using the wire wheel. I've kind of it's left a little bit of a, I won't say it's gonna pick it up so much, but that's the only thing I'm a bit concerned about, is once I get the paint on, I might have to go through a good few layers before it starts masking the markings of the wheel. Not like the wheels scored it or anything, but no. Just thinking that, I'm just trying to think why is the metal, why is the alley, why is it on here? You see here where I've just put some cure rust on it. I don't think it's going to do it, but just where it's reacted, where where we start to get alley rot here. You see that? Just trying to think why it wasn't exposed. You know what I mean? It's done that under the paint, so I'm a bit perplexed by that, to be fair. I know sometimes with these calipers, I know Alcon, I think when Mountune sold a set of Alcon calipers, they always stated it was aircraft grade aluminium. Now, if you know aircraft and aluminium, sadly when planes crash, particularly on mountain sides, a bit random, and people go back to the crash site like 70 years later, the aluminium's perfect. It's like it was laid down yesterday. Yeah. Right, so my bro, Gary, he's been in other videos, twin brother as well, we're twins. He's going to come down and get me some sand. It is a Sunday today, so Wicks is open on a Sunday. Yeah, you want to be using kiln sand as well, kiln sand if you're sandblasting. So he's coming down to get me some sand, and he wants me to do a bar. On his car, he's got these, well, most cars have them, you know, like the strengthening bars, like they usually go from the subframe to the body. It's just like a sort of it just reduces flex in the car, you know, like when you're cornering, it just reduces that sort of stress on the components. He wants me to take one of them off and give that a blast, see how that comes out. I'll probably show you. I've just noticed something that's going to really piss me off. Hang on. OCD. That little sticker's fallen off that bloody thing. What the hell? Should be like that. Here now, our Gaz is here. There he is. There's Gazza in his VX. Oh, look, his splitter. Look how careful he is. He's got to get up the drive with his splitter. Look at that. Ooh. Video went. What you wanting? So Gaz is wanting you wanting your strengthy bar things doing, don't you?
I don't even know what they're called. What the technical term for
They're like a brace bar, aren't
yeah.
they? They're just like a brace. I think they're just for flex.
Yeah.
Keep the flex down on the body.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just on the VXRs or they actually have them on the...
I think they'll be on all. It's like the Fiestas. The Fiestas have two from this. There's two coming off the subframe on the Fiesta. I think the all model Fiestas have them.
Yeah. On my old...
As in base model to the ST, regardless.
On my old Insignia, I had a 2 litre CDTI that had... Are you recording?
Yeah.
That had loads of plastic panels and, you know, trays all the way underneath.
Yeah,
It's literally, which the VXR doesn't have anything. It's literally as bare bones as it gets.
Yeah, the ST's got these two like carpeted style things on the bottom which cover the. I think they're for airflow. I think it reduces airflow, wind drag or noise underneath. I think. Like it covers your brake lines as well, gives a bit of protection to your brake lines. Yeah. And your fuel line.
Yes, because the Insignias are quite prone for rust. The problem with Vauxhall is this isn't slating Vauxhall because I don't have a bias between Ford and Vauxhall like usually you get. You know, people either like Ford or they like Vauxhall, and there's usually nobody likes one. You know, both of them. But the subframes, they are shit.
that's the one thing I say with Vauxhall. I don't know what metal they use on the subframes, but they are absolutely terrible. So Gaz's, I've just taken those bars off Gary's car that he was on about. Yeah, quite crusty. Yeah, they're quite. They've got that pittiness. That's when they start. Problem with metal is when it gets pitted, it's like just replace it. You know what I mean? And I bet you can't even replace them. Honestly, those VXRs and Insignias, parts are like. Do you know? It's funny. You can buy, you know, a shitload of parts for like a 1973 Beetle, but you can't get the parts for flipping. What? 15-year-old Insignia or whatever. Jeez, ridiculous. Yeah, so I'm just gonna I'll give him my best shot. It's gonna be hard getting in here though. You've got to get all inside there. That's the bit that's tricky, but I think that's where a bit of rust remover might come in. Get as much off. I don't know if they're a lost cause, to be honest. Like I say, it's like when people do bodywork on cars. As soon as you come across pitting, you cut it out. Just cut it out and replace it. Because it's like the rust is like, it just like lives in, you can't get the rust out. And aesthetically it looks awful. Anyway. Back with the sand. it. Right, you've got to get some PPE with this, tell you. It'll be up your nose, in your ears. Yeah. Check it out. Oh. Right, Jesus, that was a pain in the arse. My line got blocked. I do have a spare. I did buy a Karcher version of that blaster. So I managed to just get that out. Anyway, yeah. So they're done. Guitar look a bit more uniform now because they've been blasted. That's just a bit wet where I've just dried them. Yeah, I'd say. See what I mean? Where these bolts are reacting now. They're oxidizing. Keep saying oxidizing. They are flash rusting, so they need to be treated. Sorry, not making a good view, am I? They need to be treated. Yeah, so they're pretty much ready for paint, really. Need to get them cleaned up and get a base coat of. Well, I've got diamond white. I actually thought I'd bought frozen white. Diamond white's the frozen white's the predecessor to diamond, because diamond white's more of a creamy white than a white. So I'm just going to lay that down as a base coat. It'll help the colour, the top coat colour better. Still undecided what to do, whether to go for that baby blue colour or just do them red. I don't know. It's a lot of pissing about though, because then I've got to do rears as well. We'll see. Right, I've got them out that far. Yeah, that one's come out. I'm going to keep them in order. This ain't going to be easy. There we go. God, this one is stiff. Probably why the bloody system was being a bit... I'm getting bloody good brake fluid on my hands, so it's hard to bloody... Should have come up with something to pull this out, to be honest. I've just got some circlip pliers. Obviously do this gently, you don't want to be fouling. Yeah, there we go. So where were we? I lost bloody track now of the orientation of where I had them. I think it's that side, isn't it? Very gently. Don't want to get any scoring or anything. There we go. We're out. We're out. Right, so pistons are out. We just need to get the seals out. Obviously you want to be using a pick for this. Just tease them out. Don't be digging in, scoring, or anything like that, he says. I wonder if there is a bit of rot on that one. I wonder if it's yeah, this one's a bit no, it's just a bit dirty. Right, I'm gonna take the bleeders out. Yeah, just going to make sure the seal, where the seals go, it's very, it's clean. Don't want any contaminants. Just got to be careful with what you're doing. Yeah, they do get a bit could probably do with that blower with air. Right, I've got some red grease. Just make sure this isn't contaminated, which has got a hair in it. Okay. Right, seals. Just a bit of grease on the seals. Pistons are the same size, aren't they? They're not different. So I know there's two smaller pistons. There's three. Yeah, okay. That's one in. So anything gets a bit messy in it, you gotta make sure. ultra clean for when it goes back together, as in when I paint. There's going to be a lot of grease in here. Make sure the seal's not torn. Make sure the seal's not, you know, what's the word? Make sure the seal is not folded. It's quite, you know, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Saying that though, are these too big? Got a feeling this seal's too big. No, I think it is the right size. Looked like it was too big then. Oh no, beautiful, it's perfect. Just looked a bit big that. Right, got one side in. Just a small side, it's that end, isn't it? Yeah, obviously I want the pistons in for when I spray. Yeah, you don't want to go you don't want to go like absolutely berserk with the grease. Is that the small one? No, it's this one. Can't see now, I need my glasses. I need my glasses. That's that one in. Got bloody grease everywhere. Bloody hell. That one's in. Right, so all the piston seals are in. Sorry, I know it's not exactly easy to see and I don't want to contaminate everything. Right, so I mean, to be honest with you, it's a bit overkill, but gonna just get a little bit residual grease off. I don't want to make sure it's flush. It's always that feeling with the problem. That's the problem with pistons. I feel when they go in, you never know if the actual. That's it. Well, that side's in. It's always a bit. It's a bit daunting because it sort of feels like. It feels a little bit like you don't know whether the seal's been pulled back. I mean, I'd say it's a bit more of a giveaway. That'll just me putting more pressure on the. Right, in. All in. Right, so I've got these ways. These are just good for grease. No, I only want one. I've got the brake clean outside as well. It'll just help. But this is good for degreasing. Gets it off your hands as well. Just give it, you know. Just the what I'm going to do is as well when I've when these are done, when I've done the other piston, the other caliper, sorry, I'm going to bloody hell, Gets everywhere. That's the thing with grease, isn't it? It's like what I was saying about when you do what they call it. When you do drive shafts, if you ever rebuild drive shafts, my God, it's one of the messiest jobs you'll do. It's absolutely vile. Oh, another day. I didn't manage to get paint on last night. Still needed a few areas touching up. Right, so when I ordered the paint some time ago, when I did the rears, I ordered some white, diamond white, which I was just going to use as a base coat, you know, just to make the red pop a bit. Sort of lay a foundation, and then yeah, I've just sprayed it in the garden on the, you know, obviously just to mist it over. Yeah, it's I don't know what it is. It's not coming. It's like it almost looks furry, if that's a way to explain it. So I might have to flat that off. I'll have to see, but I'll give you a quick look. Yeah. Might be a bit better once it's dried. Yeah, certainly haven't. I've certainly not got enough to do both calipers sufficiently, but I wasn't expecting to fully coat them. If you look there, if you can see it, you see how it's got like a bit of a fur to it. I'll see how it comes out. I've had that before with something else, and I can't quite think what it reminds me of that. Sometimes certain colours, I don't know. Could be temperature, could be out, I don't know. I really don't know. And then I've got a little bit of red left from when I did the rear calipers. A little bit of red left. So I might just mist as much as I can over the white. And then I'll just wet and dry it. Just trying to think how difficult those little recesses are going to be, especially the back of those hex bolts, those 4 hex bolts that hold the calipers together. Yeah, they're sometimes a bit tricky. I'll see. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this video here, and then bloody hell, yeah, I'm going to go into a part 2. This video is getting quite long now, so in the next video I'll be finishing the painting. I'll recondition the discs, the 2-piece discs, and maybe get them on the car, give or take. My decisions, I don't know.
I'll show you where I am then, so where these will be left off, because I've got to wait for the paint to come anyway. And obviously I've decided to go with the race red to match the rears. I don't know, the baby blue thing, I'll have to see about that. Maybe things might change. But so where what I've done is I've just got what I had left of the race red from when I did the rear calipers. I've just tried to get in these areas like where it's quite intricate. So all in here, these bolts particularly are quite tricky to get with a rattle can, because you end up just overloading the edge rather than getting the paint in. So I've sort of got a brush and just touched inside here to kind of give it a chance, you know, to get some paint in. Same with around here where the bleeders are, and the same on this crossover pipe here, because you can get like you get more like a misting effect because the aerosol's more or less hitting this pipe. And anyway, because basically you don't want to focus the paint too much in one area, because obviously I'll be like trying to get the paint in those little gaps, and then what you're doing is you're just overloading that area with paint, and then the paint's too thick, and then that's when you start getting like paint flaking down the line, just because there's too much paint. But they're coming up all right, actually. I'm quite happy. The white, I've flattered the white off, because that changed. But and I'm still umming and ahhing what to do with this. I would ideally like to keep it white, but I can see that being really tricky. I can see it just being more trouble than it's worth, to be honest. And for me, if it doesn't look right, I'm not going to be happy with it. And then at the same time, I don't want to be, you know, going down the road of when I clean it, it's going to come off. I know I can technically lacquer over it, but the thing is as well is that paint, that race red caliper paint, it's kind of like it's got the high gloss in it, so it's not having to be you don't have to lacquer it technically. And then I'll be thinking, if I get a heat lacquer, will that react? You kind of just go down there. You know, you can just make it far more complicated than it is. Maybe I am making it more complicated. It's funny actually. I was talking to a friend at work, and he was saying, I was asking him about the white lettering, and he said that what they'll do is, and this sort of makes more sense, because the calipers are powder coated, they'll powder coat the calipers red, and then what they'll do is they'll get white powder and probably put it in the lettering, you know, smooth it off, and then they'll bake the white into, so that makes more sense. I don't know. Maybe that's how they do it. Maybe they don't. But that sounds more of a technique. Oh yeah, one of the other things I did as well, which I didn't show. I did video it, but I kind of changed my mind. I to cover the pistons up so they don't get painted. I did cut a template out. Because on the original calipers, all this is still aluminium inside. You just get a line running across. So all I did is I just got some sockets out of my toolbox and drew around them, and then just put masking tape and just basically just masked over them. So the pistons are covered. You'll probably get a bit of bleed through. It's usually the case. You sometimes find with masking tape, if it starts lifting, just get a hairdryer and reactivate the adhesive on the tape. It should stick back down, but anyway. No, so I'm pretty happy where they are at the minute. And like I said, just glad to get them. Glad I've got some options now with them. I was thinking of contacting Lewis and maybe talking about getting some new crossover lines, you know, the chamber that joins the chambers together. I don't know. And I actually did order some proper flared spanners, you know, for the actual lines, I did order some of those. Because you know, normal spanners can sort of start chewing up the unions. Yeah. Anyway, right. So enough waffling because I'm doing it again, turning an outro into a flipping marathon. Right. So this is the end of part 1, and I should hopefully see you in part 2. I don't know how long it's going to be. It might be a few weeks. It might be a month. I don't know. But anyway, busy man. Right. Okay. See you later. Don't.